Welcome to the garage, I'm Rob, and today it's all about fueling. Let's get into it. Alright, today we're going to be doing some fueling. So we got our injectors, 310cc, I believe it is. No, wait, the reason we went with these ones, because these are the biggest you can go with the stock ECU without like freaking it out. Because when we first start our car, it's going to be stock ECU and low boost. So these will be fine. If we go any higher, kind of freak out the ECU. So because we're going to have bigger injectors, need a bigger fuel pump to send the fuel. This is a 255. This is what everyone goes for, so I decided to go for it as well with these builds. And then we also got a FMU, a fuel management unit. And this is a 12-to-1 unit, and this kind of bypasses the fuel regulator to get that fuel up to the injectors into the engine. So that's what we're going to install today. We're going to start with the injectors because they're probably the easiest. For our fuel injectors, all you want to make sure is that the O-rings are on there on both sides, and that your old O-rings aren't stuck in here or stuck in your intake manifold on the engine before you put any of this on, because if they are, they're not going to sit right, you're going to have leaks. So in order to put these in, what you want to do is you need to lube up this O-ring, and I'm just going to use some engine oil. That's what the repair manual says to use. So I'm just going to use a little bit of engine oil. And they're probably going to just push them in. You also want to lube up these ones, these O-rings as well. Alright, so when I took mine off, I took mine out of the car. Completely off. You probably don't have to do that if your engine is in your car. So I took this L bracket off. That was right here. Just a simple like L bracket. So I took that off. And then there's just the two, oh, probably not gonna be able to see it. There's just the two fuel rail bolts. They're down there, but there's just the bolts to the fuel rail, and that's it. I took mine off. And then you would have to also take this off if you're taking it completely out of your car. If not, you could probably leave that connected, just take the fuel rail bolts out and take that L bracket out to give you more room. And you should be able to do this inside the car. When I get this installed, this should just fit it in here somehow. I think you gotta come in, yep. And we already oiled up the O-rings on the bottom. So just make sure they all seat. Alright, so I got the fuel injectors in with the rail. You can see it up there, that bolt. Those are the fuel injector bolts. There's two of them. So all I did for those is I just used a 3/8 wrench with a 13 mil socket, a normal size one. And you could squeeze it in here just to get it. You got to hand tighten them first, but you'll be able to squeeze them on both sides just to get them tight. The same with this L bracket, same thing. I did use an extension for the bottom one. You can't see it because of the light, but that's it, man. That's how you get them fuel injectors in there, the fuel rail. And then you would just hook up your actual fuel line if it was in your car. We would do that when we obviously put ours back in the car. So let's move on to the fuel pump. Let's get that out the way. All right, so we're inside the car. Back seats taken out. I took this plate off. It was just 5 fill-up heads. Unplugged this white wire, which goes right here, connector. So now all we gotta do is take this hose off, and these bolts. These bolts are 8. Just needs a pair of pliers for this. This is a 14. I believe this side's a 19, but I don't have a 19. So we are just going to use these just to grip it and turn it off. All right, we're at the workbench now. We got our fuel assembly here, our pump. We got our new pump. So this should be pretty easy. Looks like the hose, this bag should all come. I should have got a new bag. Yep, right here. Looks like we got a new stopper thing, a couple O-rings here. All right, so let's get this disassembled. All right guys, so I struggled with this a bit, but we finally got it. I struggled with these clips, ended up breaking one, so I had to use a clamp like this. Then I struggled with this rubber piece here. There's a screw on the back that you have to use to try to get this on and all that. But other than that, I mean, once you take yours out, you'll just kind of install it how you took the other one out. Other than that, it was pretty easy. So let's get this put back in the car and we should be good to go. All right, we got the fuel pump done. Now what we need to do is install the FMU with this year car, I believe it's 96 to 99. It is underneath the car by the fuel tank. If it's up to 95, it is in the engine bay, I believe, over in that location. I'll put a diagram up. But so let's get the car jacked up. All right guys, so I know this is probably hard to see. Did my best. As you see, I have the FMU installed. I had to drill holes and just bolt it to the frame of the car. I had my girlfriend go on the inside so I can get these all tightened, so you're probably gonna need help. But basically it's pretty simple to hook up. Here's your vacuum line. And what I did is I just followed, these other gas lines, brake lines, all the way to the front to the engine bay. And you'll need a vacuum source for that, probably in the back of your intake. And then this hose right here, the one on the bottom, goes into your fuel tank. So top of the fuel assembly, where you would where your fuel pump would be inside. So you can either just get a long enough hose to run all the way to the top, or you could just disconnect the hose on top of your fuel regulator and get a hose mender and connect it to, which is what I ended up doing. So pretty simple there. And then this hose here, which is the one on the side, goes into the top of your fuel regulator, which is right there. So what you do is when you come under here, you'll have a hose already plugged into your fuel regulator, which is the hose into your fuel tank. So you take that off, you put this one to the fuel regulator, then you put this one to the hose that you took off. It's really simple. The hardest part that I struggled with this is actually mounting it. Was really the hardest part because there's no room in here because of all these lines and all that. And I thought this was the best spot to mount this. So other than that, guys, it's super simple. This will help you get your fuel pressure that you need. So, all right, guys, so that's it for this video. I'll leave a list of the things I used in the description, so make sure you check that out. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Remember, always stay positive, and I'll catch you in the next one.